distinguished guests, it's indeed a very special honor to welcome the UN Secretary General, His Excellency Mr. Ban Ki-moon, and Madame Ban, Mr. Kailash Satyarthi, the Nobel Laureate, Bharat Ratna, Sachin Tendulkar, the always elegant Sharmila Tagore, and the always impassioned Nandita. We have young people in this audience to listen to our statements on the future we want. It's my privilege to call to the podium the UN Secretary General, His Excellency Mr. Ban Ki-moon. Sir.
Good evening, everyone, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste. Today, we are coming together to launch the UN at 70. You know that United Nations is celebrating 70th anniversary. It was founded in 1945. Now, this year is 2015. I have today 3 messages that I hope you will push out today on your own networks. The first, investing in women and children is the most powerful way to attain global progress. Second, we have to fight for the equality of all members of our human family, regardless of any difference, including sexual orientation. Third, when we strengthen the UN-India partnership, this country and our world will advance. I admit I have a great personal affection for India, but I am also speaking objectively when I say that India is an important country for me, but much more importantly for the United Nations. It's one of the big contributors to peacekeeping, democracy fund, and many other initiatives. I came here to strengthen our partnership because India's collaboration with the United Nations is good for this country and for our world. Dhanyawad. Thank you.
Friends, freedom is my strength, freedom is my inspiration, freedom is my power, which drives me. However, the saddest or the most shameful commentary of today's society in one sentence is slavery still exists in its cruelest forms, and the children are the worst victims of it. I am thankful to United Nations Secretary General Mr. Ban Ki-moon and the international community that included child labor, forced labor, education, and violence in the post-2015 goals, what we call the Sustainable Development Goals. They're very explicit language. Thank you very much for that.
Child labor and slavery has to come to an end. It will require a mega effort, but we are prepared to take those steps together. My first innings as a cricketer was exciting. As soon as I retired in the second part of my life, the second innings I started about 13 months ago, 14 months ago. When I retired, the first responsibility I accepted was to become UNICEF Ambassador for hand wash and sanitation. And I want to assure you that you will have a committed Sachin Tendulkar for this job in spreading the message across. And I would, above all, try and live up to my own expectations, because I have to look at myself in the mirror and say that I've done a good job.
It's about 12 years ago, I committed myself to work with UNICEF, I took this vow to speak up for children whenever and wherever it was necessary. I would like a future that would value our mothers, so that the mothers who give birth and nurture are able to survive themselves, which is not always the case now. And when we talk about mothers and mothers who have just had a baby and they die, it's very unlikely that the children survive. So we are not talking about one life, we are talking about 2 lives.
Freedom of expression is something I hold very dear to me. World free of discrimination. I think that's what we want. If I had a daughter, I would teach her freedom and abandon. But I think if I have a son, it's a greater responsibility. How do we raise sons who are sensitive, who are all around them, they're looking at patriarchy? How do they still grow up differently? Thank you.
The UN Secretary General wishes to co-opt Mr. Satyarthi in his important He for She campaign. And there's also a He for She badge for Mr. Tendulkar, for Sachin. The futures that they've all mapped, if all of us can work together and chip away at all those little niggling things that they have pointed out to, we will reach the future we want.